Blackthorn. Prologue. Shadows across blood and time. They say every story begins with a single step, but some begin with a scream. A scream buried so deep in the earth that it refuses to die, even when the body from which it came has long since turned to dust. It was a night without wind, one of those nights where darkness feels heavier than the air itself. The forests around Saarbrücken lay motionless, only the whisper of ancient trees and, somewhere, far away, a lone wolf greeting the moon. In a narrow stone chamber, deep in the belly of the princely castle, a young woman lay on the cold floor. Her fingers bloody, her breath hot and ragged, her heart a wild, hammering spark of terror and defiance.
Johanna Vanatuara. Later, the Germans would call her Johanna Jäger. The man above her, Prince Karl August, reeked of wine, sweat, and the rot of a life lived without restraint. He laughed as he forced her down, a hollow, drunken cruelty. But the laughter died abruptly when something ancient in Johanna's blood awoke. It happened without a sound. No howl, no rattle of chains, just a tear, a split in the fabric of the world. Her eyes grew dark, darker than the night itself. Her muscles tightened as if a second being were rising within her, reshaping bone, reshaping fate. And then, one desperate half-wolf strike. Karl August was thrown back, his face torn open, his chest ripped apart by a force no human should possess. The candles flickered wildly, light clawing at the stone walls like desperate hands, and for a heartbeat, the prince saw not a servant girl, but something greater, something that would outlast him. He collapsed. No scream, just a rattling, panicked breath. Then, darkness. And that darkness stayed. It left his body, but not his soul. Something in him was half living, half dead. Something waited. Decades later, on the far side of the ocean, another forest opened. The smoke of the wilderness battlefield hung thick between the trees of Virginia. Fire crawled through the underbrush like hungry beasts. Shots crackled in the distance. Men screamed for their mothers, for God, for anyone who would listen. A soldier stood alone among the burning trunks, his face streaked with soot, his eyes cold as winter ice. He heard every heartbeat, smelled blood and metal, and he knew he had lost something here that he would never find again. Wolf Blackthorn, a man with a name that had not yet awakened. He felt not only the war, he felt something else, something winding through the air like a shadow that had never forgotten its path. A whisper, as old as the world's first pain. You belong to me. Wolf turned. No one was there. Only smoke. Only darkness. Only the burning forest. Yet he swore he had seen a face in the flames. A face he had never known, but whose hatred he recognized instantly. The echo of a prince who was never meant to die. Years passed. Wolf lived, fought, loved, lost. He walked dusty roads, crossed empty valleys, hunted the guilty, searched for peace. And something inside him grew, something he did not yet understand. The medicine man who once found him told him only one sentence. "Your blood is older than your name, and your shadow is not your own." He understood only much later. Now, many years after that, at the border between past and future, on a night unlike any before, Wolf Blackthorn stood at the edge of the world. The wind carried voices, the moon hung like a pale, silent eye, and the forest around him seemed to hold its breath. He was no longer just a man, no longer just a soldier, no longer only a father who had lost everything. He was the bearer of an ancient bloodline, the son of two worlds, the heir to a curse that was never his. And while the shadow of the dead prince crawled through the threads of time, seeking him, hating him, marking him, the first faint howl rose in the distance. Not the howl of a wolf, not the cry of a man, but something in between, something awakening at last. The story begins now.